He's on, but he's got his muted.
It seems like time goes super fast. You know, I don't say anything. I know, I got to go. Well, it's a whole lot school, and they're part of the percentage group, so. Well, really wasn't into politics. Their job.
When you unmute something, you can talk to people.
For those of you online and those in the room, we're going to start in just about 2 minutes. There were a few people walking down the street.
Okay, so they want us to focus on the podium. Okay. Okay. And the podium's on, this is on? Okay, that one. And that's.
and this one. We'll use this one's for the mic there. This is for the YouTube stream.
I thought about it. I forgot about it. Is this live? Use this one.
Like, sorry, but it's- you turn one on and the other one.
Okay, okay. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for those people who are online. I see, oh, maybe half a dozen people or so who have joined us online. So thank you for joining us as well. My name is Kim Hayes Wittersheim. I am the Vice President of the Village Club. Thank you for joining us for the Meet the Candidates. I will be providing a few opening comments and then we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, a reminder that the Village Club is a social group of Timberlake. We are hosting tonight as a courtesy to the community. The Village Club has no political affiliation and we work hard to keep politics out of social events. Everyone who lives in Timberlake is a member of the Village Club, and as such, people will have different political views on candidates and issues. And while we don't take a position on issues, I personally encourage all of you to vote. It is a right and a privilege as a citizen. Let me walk you through the plans for this evening. As you entered, there were cards that you could write down questions for the school board or the mayoral candidate. Candidates. If you need a card, please raise your hand. Does anybody need a card? Or I know a lot of you filled things out. Okay, great. Looks like we're good. We're going to start tonight by asking each candidate to introduce themselves. They will have 60 seconds to do this. Then we will pose 2 questions to the school board and each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to respond to those questions. This will be followed by 3 or 4 questions, depending on timing, to our mayor candidates, who again will have 3 minutes to answer. The candidates, you will be given a blue card, when there is 1 minute of time left, a green card when there's 30 seconds, a yellow card when there's 10 seconds, and then the red card when it's time to stop. We are asking that you respect the time limit and do not speak past your allotted time. Finally, although this is a little bit of a debate style session, let's remember that it's really about understanding the positions of the candidates on the issues and why you are running. So let's keep this friendly. With that, let's begin. We'll begin with general introductions. Candidates, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself and give a brief description and understand why you're running for the position. And I think I'd like to start with the school board candidates and we'll start at this end. And then we'll have you guys come up. Good. And we're going to ask everybody to come to the podium to speak so that they can be on camera. And I think it'd be easier for everybody to see them. Anybody have any questions before we start? Beautiful.
Check.
Good evening. My name is Ryan DeFranco. I'm running for the Board of Education. I have 3 daughters, married, wife is pregnant with twins. So after our segment, I will be giving mom some relief. So if you see me get up and leave, that's why. I'm running to get back down to the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic. We need to get back to the basics, get our scores up a lot. Currently, we're ranked 434th out of 607 districts in the state. To me, that is not exceptional for me personally, and I'm going to do my best to work and make sure that that is brought up.
Thank you all for coming. My name is Denise Verdi, and I'm actually a resident here in Timberlake. I grew up here since 1971. Came back in 2004. I'm married to Ron Danko who's here. I'm a mother of 2 grown boys, 5 grandchildren, one just recently, a couple weeks ago. The reason for my running is I'm really just to be a common sense voice on the school board. I feel I have experience, life experience, and I just want to bring a positive influence to being a voice of the parents and the community and bringing that, those concerns forward. Proficiency scores is really a concern of mine. And just really getting those kids educated and passing on to next grades successfully and not falling behind and figuring out a way on how to do that. And I just know that there's some crazy things happening in the world and in this country and in schools. And I just want to make sure that we safeguard against that and have a wonderful, excellent school board system for the Willoughby East Lake area. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Aaron Reedy. I'm originally from Fremont, Ohio. I lived here in Timberlake for about 4 or 5 years until I live in Willoughby Hills. My background, I did 20 years in the military, 6 years in the Marines, 9 in the Army, and 5 in the Air Force when I retired. After that, I started working for various government agencies, Department of Justice Antitrust Division, Defense Finance and Accounting Service. Right now, I'm currently at Social Security. I left the VA last year. I was a mental health therapist there. I'm still a licensed therapist, and I do behavioral therapy with Cleveland Municipal Court with high-risk domestic violence offenders. While I was I started taking college classes to be a corporate attorney and decided I wanted to shift my studies. I went on to get a master's degree in criminal justice criminology, studying under victimology, and then a master's in social work from Cleveland State University. So that's where I get my therapy background, again, licensed here in Ohio. And I've been a board member since August of this past year. The main focus that I have for the school board going forward is, we did everything that communities wanted, all 7 of them. They wanted us to fix the levy cycle. They wanted us to get back to academics, which is why we hired Dr. Patrick Ward. He came from Mayfield School District. He was highly recommended. We collaborated with all of the stakeholders in the 7 different communities. We got the teachers involved. We got the kids involved. We got the communities involved. We got the mayors to come in, and everybody put in their voice, because everybody's voice is important to us. We are one big community. And so I would appreciate your vote this November to stay on the board so that we can continue doing everything that we've done just in the last 6 to 8 months. And Dr. Ward he's amazing. And I know that underneath his vision that he has, the academics we're gonna start seeing those numbers improve a lot. And so I thank you for your time. And I hope 60 seconds, I thought it'd be shorter than that. All right. I think that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to the Village of Timberlake for hosting us on this candidates night. My name is Jamie Schatzman, and I am running to keep my seat on the Willoughby East Lake Board of Education. I was appointed to our school board last October, and I'm currently serving as both our vice president and our legislative liaison. But anything that we talk about tonight are just representations of my personal views since I'm here as a candidate. In the past year that I've been on the board, we've hired a new superintendent, as you heard Aaron say, the incredible Dr. Patrick Ward, who demonstrated all of the qualities that our numerous stakeholders identified as crucial to the success of our district. And we also restructured our relentless levy cycle so that we are not going to be on the ballot with any school renewal issues for the next 5 years. And really, I'm just grateful to serve as a part of this board where, despite our differing backgrounds and our personal views, we challenge each other to see all sides of complex issues, and we strive to make our schools better every single day. And I'll say, although we have accomplished a significant amount in just a short amount of time, we still have work to do, specifically around creating a shared vision for learning, fiscally sustainable operations, and safe facilities. So that's why I'm here tonight asking for your vote on November 7th, because I am committed to making sure the children of Willoughby East Lake have access to all of the opportunities that will enable them to reach their full potential. Thank you.
Hi, first of all, thank you to the Village Club for hosting us this evening. My name is John H. Roskis, if you don't know, and I'm currently a member of the Willoughby East Lake School Board, and I'm seeking re-election to the 4-year term. I attended Washington Elementary, Willoughby Middle School, and I graduated from South High School in 2002. After that, I earned my BA in Economics and German from Case Western Reserve in Cleveland. If re-elected, I would focus on the following areas. I'd like to keep improving our district's transparency and accessibility. So I'd like to continue to increase community engagement, have some more of those coffee talks and learning sessions with the community, and provide more opportunities for our taxpayers to access our Willoughby East Lake's financial information in a more understandable format. I think we still need to do more work on fiscal sustainability. So we need to ensure responsible spending of our district's resources. We need to continue advocating for fair funding from the state, as Jamie mentioned. And we need to seek additional ways to restructure our levy cycle. As you know, there's quite a few renewal levies still out there, but at least we're off the ballot till 2028. And I also think we need to look at exploring other funding sources. Finally, I'd like to work on expanding our project-based learning opportunities throughout the district. The School of Innovation is based on that curriculum, and I think we need to look at offering more of those opportunities in the other schools in our district. I thank you for your time, and I ask for your support on November 7th.
Okay, our first round of questions are going to go to the state board member, the school board members. And we're going to start at the end down here. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard you guys talking. So let's do that. Let's do for those running for council. Let's do that first. Go ahead. Go to the podium, please.
Good evening. I'm Cindy Hardwick. I have been on council. I took somebody's place and finished out their term. So now is my time to do 4 years with council. I think we're headed in the right direction. I believe that we are a very strong council in as far as what the residents want. And that's what we should be looking. You can't make everybody happy, but there are certain things that we can do to listen, hear, and try and do something when you have a problem or a compliment or not a compliment. And I believe our ordinances are pretty general. And I think a lot of times things get out of hand when people don't follow ordinances, and then there's neighbors that talk, and then there's gossip that's, that goes around, and this one's doing that and that one's doing this. And I just say they're easy. Just help council, help your neighbors if they need some help with bringing their garbage cans in from on Friday, and where they need to be, give them a hand. If they need help bringing it out, if you have an older neighbor, dragging things out. So just let's be a village of friends and helpful with people. That's what I'd like to see happen here for the next 4 years and longer after that.
Hi, my name is Nancy Marr. Is that too loud? My name is Nancy Marr. I've been on council for 4 years. Yes, I'm crazy enough to run again. The reason why I'm crazy enough to run again is because I've gotten to know a lot of you. I've knocked on your doors for various reasons, good and bad. I think I've always come away feeling like it was really worth learning something from you. I feel the council that we have now has proceeded with great progress, and we have a council that agrees to disagree. And that's what I like. And I also feel on council that we're not a lone doer. We have 6 great elected council members that are working together. And when someone is not around, a phone call from work, or would you mind covering the tree for me? Or would you mind meeting someone up at the hall for me? We have 6 council members who work really hard to make sure each and every one of your emails are answered, phone calls are answered, and your concerns are handled. It's not one person anymore. It's 6 good people. I would like to proceed for the next 4 years with these people. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight, and I want to thank the Village Club for putting this evening on. Well, my name is John Roskis, John P. Roskis, and most of you know me for the most part. I've been in the village 49 years, going on 50 next spring. I have no plans of leaving this village. I love this village. I love the people of this village. I'm seeking 8th term as mayor. I've served mayor as 26 years. My experience and knowledge. 10 years I was on the Timberlake Police Department, 2 years on the Service Department, and I did some school crossing guard. So with that, I have approximately about 38 years worth of service in the 49 years I've lived here. It's always a privilege to be the mayor and would love the opportunity to serve again. I will put forth my 100% effort to enhance the quality of life in this village. And in closing, because told me it was only going to be 60 seconds. In closing, if elected, I will serve for $1 a year. I'm not doing it for the money. Like I said before, I love this village. And I'm going to contribute, and I think I still can contribute because of my knowledge and experience. Thank you.
Good evening. John Mara, I'm the current mayor of Timberlake. I'm a family man first, married for 33 years, my loving wife, Nancy, parents of 4 children and 2 grandchildren. We bought our forever home in 2016, and we at 39 Minnewawa. We enjoy spending time, of course, on the beach, but mostly I just enjoy the neighborhood. We fell in love with Timberlake as soon as we moved here, and I started coming to council meetings, starting to see how things were run, and honestly, I thought I could make a change and some difference. And in 4 years, I promised 4 years ago to balance the village budget. When I took over, we were deficit spending. We were in a financial crisis. We had to have our books were unauditable. We had to have a special audit. And with the prior fiscal officer, we were able to pull it all together. And actually, the first year, we were able to end up with a surplus. And actually, I ended up with a surplus all 4 years. Next, I said I promised to beautify the village. Again, working with the service department, beautifying the village every year. We're taking on a little project to help the parks, to help the playground and so forth, and the beach. We fixed the stairs. I know those stairs are contentious, but again, until we can get them replaced, we were able to get them leveled 2 years ago. So that was a big plus. Again, enhanced security. We have our 24/7 police department, and I intend on maintaining that another, forever. So again, I said that I was going to maintain it, and I did. And again, while keeping it within the budget. And again, bringing strong leadership to the village. We have a great council right now. I work very, very well with them, and I would like to continue another 4 years to work with them. So again, I accomplished a lot so far, and I humbly ask your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to take a couple of questions to the school board candidates. The first question is a 2-part question. What is your opinion of the current state standards? And also, what is your opinion of the new state-appointed Board of Education? John, I think we'll start at your end this time. And again, if you could just come to the podium. And then we will be timing these. So we ask that you stay in that 3-minute response from the time you get to the podium.
Well, as you know, the state legislature does have a huge role in the curriculum that the Board of Education offers and generally is required in many ways to implement with some, there are some options, but it's very much regulated by the state legislature. So, and I know that the state Board of Education has many experts in that area and that they devote their lives to developing the curriculum and what is appropriate for different age groups. And I really have no objections to those standards from those experts. As far as the current State Board of Education, I think I believe that the current format of the State Board of Education was established by a voter led initiative. And so I do disagree with the direction it is headed towards. Thank you.
So I'll start with the state standards. My opinion on the state standards are their guidelines, just like we would set policies and guidelines, and those are kind of the bare minimum. So I think when we're looking at our district, what's really important to us as we represent 7 very different communities and all kinds of different families and all sorts of different demographics within those, that we look at what's important for our community. And so that's why we're doing these things like community engagement, going out, listening to people, and we're saying what's important for a student to learn while they're with us for potentially 13 years, maybe even plus if they go to our preschool. What's important for them as a 21st century learner. And if you look at some of the research, the jobs that are going to be available in 2030, which is before my 8-year-old even graduates, 85% of those probably weren't around in 2017. So I think we're constantly learning, we're constantly evolving. And I don't think we should be doing just what we're told. We should be doing more for our kids, and we should be listening to the kind of student that our community wants. That's our job, to listen to people, whether we agree or disagree. Our job is to represent everyone and the needs of our community, and that includes all of our community. And so I think when we're looking at that, we need to say, what do we need to do to prepare folks who want to go into the workforce? What skills do they need as human beings? What academic capabilities do they need, whether they're going into a job or whether they're going into college? And so I think the state standards are really, you know, we need to make sure we're hitting these points, but I think we need to do a really deeper level of learning. And that's why I talked about building a shared vision. And we need to personalize that for our students, because when students are engaged and students are interested in what they're learning, that's when they learn best. It's not when you teach to a test. The test scores will come if students are engaged. And that's really what we're focusing on is giving students personal agency, choices in their learning, tailoring it really to what their contribution is going to be. And that's how we reach their full potential. And so I'll take a minute and focus on the state board. So really what happened is the state board is going to stay the same, but their powers have changed, assuming that this lawsuit is not overturning things. But what we're doing is we're taking ODE and we're turning it into a new department that reports to the governor. And I don't really think it's fair for elected officials who have been elected into a job to have their powers stripped away midway, because the people should have a voice, just like all of you in this room should have a voice about who you pick. You should know what job we're going to be doing, at least for the remainder of our term. And so that's how I feel about that. And I thank you guys for your time.
As far as the academics, we changed from a numbered system to a starred system. And when you're trying to evaluate the success of a student, how well they're doing, a lot of times it's based off of that one test. And I don't know how many of you remember when it was time to take tests, but they're very stressful. And what we're trying to do is to try to help the students to be reduced about their stress, get them more engaged, get the parents engaged. So that way, when the students do go before their test or quizzes, things like that, that they feel more confident with their testing. As far as the board, state board, I think it's a very big injustice to all of Ohioans. Taking away from the taxpayers, taking away from the parents, taking away the voice of the people on what they want to happen in our schools. I think that's a tragedy. I know what they're trying to do, but I think that this is the wrong way that they're going about it. When we also talk about the testing scores, one thing that we have here in Willoughby Eastlake School District is a great advantage because not every student is going to be an academic. Not every one of our students is going to go on to college. At Willoughby Eastlake School Districts, we have Success Academy, where we've currently got 29 students. We've got Bridge to Success, which is 81 students, Success Academy. It provides alternative setting for students in grades 6 through 10 who have not been successful in traditional education. Bridge to Success, we currently have 81 enrolled, and that is an academic credit recovery primary for students 11 and 12th grade who are credit deficient and are working towards earning their credits towards graduation. We also have the NCI Institute. We take learning beyond the high school level, where we have 136 students that are adults in an LPN program. We have adult billing and coding with 9, high school LPNs, 22, high school medical assistants, 32 are enrolled, high school preschool or pre-nursing, 21. We also have the Willoughby Eastlake Institute. We have 316 students that are from north, south high schools. And some of the programs they do, there's 57 in welding, 38 in cosmetology, 43 in business, auto technology, and auto collision. Not only that, we collaborate with other school districts around the state and more along in our area for additional things. So the children that are struggling with their academics, we have alternative programs. And I think we should be testing on the success of our students more in what they're achieving and less on state tests.
As far as the state guidelines, as long as it's supporting the parents that are for the children, when they're taking away and they're having too much power, that's what I'm against. So it seems like what I would want to focus on is getting the kids educated. One of the things that I've noticed is that they're passing kids onto the next grade level and they're not prepared. So my goal is to make sure that they are prepared to go on to the next grade level. Another thing is finding out where their gifts, talents, and abilities are. I know we're looking into having people coming in and telling what their technical skills are. I came from a technical part of high school because I couldn't afford college and I want to be able to leave with a skill. One of the things that I think that is very important for the kids is to learn basic skills for when they leave school, they know how to do basic life. And so as far as tutoring to get these kids where they can actually read and write before they go to the next school level, the grade level, because it feels like these kids are being pushed through too quickly and then they're not prepared. So passing on them 100% of the time may not be beneficial for them. So in getting the parents involved with those decisions to make education, but using their gifts, talents, and abilities, finding out what they are. I think bringing in people that are in design for different types of their careers to speak to them, to find out what their interests are, find out what their gifts, talents, and abilities are, so that they can leave high school a success and give them the best tools that we possibly can give them. Thank you.
When it comes down to it, 434th of 607. About 71% of the state is better than Willoughby Eastlake right now. That is awful. That is awful. 2016, Ohio started to lower the standards, and it's continued since. That's awful. Even if we're getting closer to that lowered standard, we're still failing our kids. It's not cool. It's not. I have three daughters. One, she's in middle school. I have a 3-year-old at home who I have a big decision coming up within the next 2 years if I'm going to send her to our public school system or not. At this point, I'm not. I'm not going to because it's not to par for me. I strive for excellence. I don't strive for mediocrity. I don't. Okay. In the Marine Corps, yes, I was a Marine Corps veteran. I have a hard time talking about myself in the beginning, but you know what? Anyways, I'm going to continue going on. We have continued to drop our standards since 2020. So do I know everything about what the state has done? No, but I am going to do that research and I will find that answer and I will let you know my personal opinion in the future, in the coming days. I don't like to speak on something I'm not an expert on. I like to make educated decisions before I speak about them. Social promotion hurts children. It hurts children no matter what they are. I have a daughter that's in 4th grade now. She was in 3rd grade last year. Should not be. I wanted to keep her back. The state wanted to push her forward. She was not eligible. She was not able to read at her 3rd grade level. So they held her back, had her take 3 tests, said if you pass these 3 tests, you could still move on. She still moved on, but she had to do 3. She has to do 3rd grade class, 3rd grade reading class. Not cool. I wanted her held back so she'd get caught up. All three of the sitting board members have said that they have work to do. Who's better to do? Who does the most work? Do we call the people that have degrees? No, we call the people that have wheelbarrows and shovels. Let's build something better. Okay. Listening to students and parents. Parents, most importantly. Parents are number one when it comes to their children. We cannot exclude our parents. I've had probably about this week alone, 4 or 5 parents come up to me talking to me about things that they see in the schools. And at one of the last forums, something was brought up that has chastised one of the Denise Verdi. It has chastised her because she brought it up. Something was brought to her. She brought it to the public's notice, and almost instantly, she was brought down, belittled by the community. Not by anybody up here, but by our community. Our community continues. They do it to me. They'll probably do it later, but they continue to bring us down. Why? Why? Because we want success for our children. We want success for our district. We want success for our community. Let's come together, Eastlake. Willoughby, Eastlake. Let's go.
Thank you. As you all introduced yourself, you talked about why you're running and what you hope to accomplish. That's my question here is I want to talk to you about what you hope to accomplish in your role. And I ask you to do it based on some of the hot topics that are out there. And we all know there's hot topics. They're not just here in Willoughby, they're across the nation. So some of the things that were brought up were the CRT, book bans, how history is being taught, the lack of parental support, and mental health status and issues with children. I know there's a lot. You're not going to be able to talk about all of those in just 3 minutes. So if you could pick 1 or 2 of those topics and speak about them and how you feel that you could help influence an improvement on those in the school system. Ryan, we're going to start at your end this time. Again, 3 minutes.
We're going to bring it back to the basics. Okay. We're going to keep critical race theory out of the schools. We're going to make sure common sense is back in the classroom. We're getting back to reading, writing, and arithmetic. We're going to get our numbers up, and we're going to make sure it's done quick, fast, and in a hurry. We've got a year. Let's get it done.
I know one of the subjects that they've been talking about is book banning. If that's a good thing or not. Well, book banning in itself is definitely, can be in a negative connotation. But what I personally am against is pornography in the schools and make the reading material age appropriate. And parents need to know, when there's something in their schools. Fortunately, Willoughby Eastlake, I have not heard anything as far as inappropriate books in our school system. So I'm, in Willoughby Eastlake. So if anybody knows anything, just let us know. And I'm sure that anybody on this board is against pornography in the schools. That's a real concern. CRT, absolutely against, that social emotional learning. I'm totally against that. So I would be more for the basics, like Ryan said, the reading, writing, and arithmetic. And, as far as, we do have a responsibility for the students that do need counseling, need emotional support, emotional help, even if it brings in professionals. But really, the parents really are the main, they're the most important for their own students. So that there needs to be and continue to be transparency to the parents. And they need to know everything that's going on in the schools with their kids. And so if that's going on in this school, then that's what I'm going to continue to support and even improve on. All these subjects that were brought up, it's always room for improvement. And I do believe in the fact of putting up guardrails, because there are, if you look across the country and just some really crazy, even in our own county, some crazy things are going on. And I just think it's really important to put up those guardrails and be proactive for these sensitive subjects, but listen to the parents, and then we can deal with these things in a very sensitive and concerned manner, and be very thoughtful and be open. And fortunately, the superintendent is really open for suggestions. He's been having coffee talks every week and inviting the community in. I think it's really important that the community, even if we don't have kids in the school system, to be involved. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I feel it's my civic duty to make a difference and to get our school system at the best place it could possibly be. Thank you.
When it comes to topics such as book banning, I'm not for book banning in any way, shape, or form. There is age appropriate, and our policy that we have, which is PO 2240, is related to the instructional goals of the course of study and level of maturity of the students. If any of you go to any of our schools and take a tour through the libraries at the schools, they have them set up for reading level, for age appropriateness and things like that. Anytime, if anybody were to try to bring that in, that would come before the board, even if a parent or somebody said that they felt there was something that was uncomfortable for them, we would welcome and encourage you to bring that to us as well. Our policy also states does not tend to indoctrinate or persuade students to a particular point of view. Also, controversial issues may not be initiated by the source outside of the schools unless prior approval has been given by the principal. We do not have SEL being taught in our schools. We do not have CRT taught in our schools. And CRT is a college level course, has no place in our schools. It also has some very controversial issues. Another reason we want to keep that out of our schools, just like our current policy has in place. Going forward, I would love to see, I'm very encouraged by what Dr. Ward is bringing to our school board. As the current board, as we are right now, we saw that there was some improvement, and one of them was in academics. And that was the reason why we chose Dr. Ward out of some amazing candidates. Again, when I did our introduction, the community said what they wanted. The children said what they wanted. The leaders in the community said what they wanted. And this current board, again, Jamie and I just started last year. And in this short amount of time, we went out and we found exactly what the community was asking for. We went out and found exactly what the students were asking for. And there is no doubt that the scores and the achievements of our children are in good hands under this current board.
So my primary focus is making sure we can expand the pathways to success for students. And what I mean by that is more personalized learning options for students in the way that they learn. And I also think we need to focus on having more career pathways. That's not just our technical programs, but also bringing in more businesses, talking to our business stakeholders in the community and finding out what they're looking for and giving students opportunities to be exposed to things and careers that maybe they didn't even know existed, and preparing them that way. I also think that we need to, as I said, create a shared vision for learning, which we're doing by talking to the community, talking to all of our different stakeholders, talking to students, talking to parents, talking to our teachers, and everyone who works at our schools. And once we do that, we need to create a strategic plan that helps us achieve those goals and break those down into measurable goals so we can be making progress all the time. We also need to make sure our schools are fairly funded, and we need to consider alternative revenue streams, whether those come from potentially businesses who want to partner with us, different grant sources, obviously continuing getting funding from the state. We also need to look at safety, which means making sure our buildings are well maintained, that we keep making the necessary improvements, that we look for, grant funding for that, and making sure we're being fiscally responsible as the fiduciaries of the taxpayers' dollars, and also making sure we have a code of conduct for students, and we definitely encourage them to behave in school in appropriate ways, but also to make sure they're engaged, because when, again, they're engaged in learning, there's less of an occurrence of children acting out. And we want to keep, again, our community engaged and keep listening. And I am genuine when I say this, that we care about parents' rights. Parents have an ability all the time to decide what they want for their children. I, as a parent, am always involved in my daughter's school and what she's learning. I've been encouraged by everyone at school to do that. And I genuinely wanted to ask the folks up here who have said that they've had negative experiences, what are your plans for fixing some of these things that you are talking about fixing and improving? Because we as a board are listening. And if there's something you see that we don't see or something that we could improve, I ask you to tell us. I ask you to tell Dr. Ward at one of his coffee talks. I know that they're open to the whole community. And I'd love to hear what some of those plans are, because even if the case is that you guys do get elected, why are we waiting till January to do that? So I just want to open the door and say, I'm happy to have a conversation anytime. I'd love for you to have a conversation with Dr. Ward anytime. And that's for all parents. That's for any of you out here. If you have ideas, you are our boss and we are here to listen to you. And I just so appreciate anyone who invests time in our children. And that's why I'm doing this job. Thank you.
Well, first, I am against critical race theory being taught in the schools. As Aaron mentioned, it is a theory that is taught in law school. And I did want to share Chuck Murphy, the superintendent at the time, did indicate in an email on September 1st, 2022, I reiterated that we do not do anything with CRT in the schools. As far as book bans, I spent a lot of my life, a lot of my childhood in a library. There was one day that I think I must have been there for a couple hours, and my mom forgot to pick me up, but it didn't bother me because I love reading books. So I'm totally against book bans. And Aaron did say, there is a need for age appropriate material, and I do agree with that. But as far as book bans, definitely not. As far as mental health, we do have Crossroads in our schools, and we do have some family liaisons and other staff members that do help in those areas. We also have a Signs of Suicide program. Now that program can be opt out of if parents choose. Now, of course, there is more work to be done in that area for sure. I did want to talk more about some of the areas I had mentioned earlier in my introduction. As far as community engagement, if you're not aware, the district has had a number of coffee talks with our new superintendent, Dr. Ward, and those are going to continue in October, November. And then we're going to have some more specific topics on areas that are important to the community next year. And as far as the financial transparency, what I'd like to see is either a biannual or quarterly community meetings with the treasurer. And the goal would be to present our financial information in a easy or more digestible format. Now, I'm not sure how flashy you could make numbers, but at least make it more interesting. And also allow time for questions on how our resources are being allocated within the district. As far as our restructuring our levy cycle and alternative ways to fund educational program, as I mentioned, we're off the ballot until 2028 for our renewal levies. But we still need to look at other ways to consolidate some of our property tax levies. And this is going to take a lot of planning. board work sessions and a lot of community meetings to gather feedback on what might work for the community. It would be great to see our levies eventually converted to a continuous form, but this may not be what the community wants. And while it seems that property taxes will continue to be a primary source of funding our schools, we need to continue to advocate for fair funding at the state level. As you may know, the current form of funding the schools was ruled unconstitutional in 1997. So, thank you.
Thank you. This concludes our questions to the school board candidates. So let's give them a round of applause. You're welcome to stay at the table. You're welcome to come sit in the audience as we move on to our questions to the mayor candidates. Okay. So the first question is related to Rita. So there was a few questions related to Rita, so I'm just going to combine them all together. So why was there a change to Rita? For some people, it's more expensive because paying city taxes as well as paying taxes in the city in which we work and the taxes in which you live. So what are the thoughts about Rita? Is Rita going to stay? And John R., we'll start with you.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm not familiar with Rita because I didn't implement it. Current administration went from CCA to Rita. I do know that there was a increase in payroll taxes, as all of you out there probably know, from a 1% to 2%, I believe. And this, of course, would create additional funds. I will make the assumption, which is not very good to do at any point in time, that council made the best decision there. That's all I could say. I have no facts on Rita, but they have been doing multiple communities within Lake County, Cuyahoga County, as well as the Central Collection Agency. We use Central Collection Agency for many, many years. And I would think that if they changed to Rita, that they got a better rate of return, doing more for less, a better bang for the buck, which is what we need to do. Always look to save money, do the best with our budgets, to conserve and to use the best vendors, let's just say, or contractors out there to do the job. But that's it.
Back in 2019, the prior administration passed an increase in the tax in the levy or the increase in the income tax from 1% to 2%. It never took effect because it was never reported to CCA initially. Then when our new fiscal officer came in, we ended up switching to Rita because again, there was some savings and it would be a benefit to the village. So we ended up switching over, but they never carried over the increase of 1%. So it always maintained it at 1%. Then this year, we just recently then adopted, because we didn't collect the money, council decided we had three options. One, either go back and retroact and collect the money from 2019 when it was enacted. Or number two, we could have collected the money currently also, or wait till the following year. So anyway, the council decided on choosing the latter, and they ended up, it won't start until 2024. And the reason why it was increased was because, again, in 2019, council had passed an increase in Rita tax, or at the time it was income tax, from 1% to 2%. And if there's anything else, like I said, Rita's handling everything, and also they were also better at collecting. There was a lot of uncollected funds from CCA that the village was not collecting those taxes. And with Rita now, we've been getting all the money. So that's another reason why we switched over to Rita. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is in regards to our police force. And again, there were a few questions, so we tried to combine them. So the question is how you personally see using and paying for our police force. There has been some discussion about having the police force as part of village employees and or as outside cities such as Eastlake and others. Can you share your position on the police force? And John M., we'll start with you.
Okay, one thing about the village is that we have our police department. I mean, that is a gem. Again, for the security of the village, it's again, it's priceless. And we have house checks, beach checks, park checks. And then we have, again, the interaction with our officers going around and, with the residents and so forth. So, we're trying to make, and again, as far as maintaining the police department, that was one of my first goals. One of my campaign promises was to maintain and the police department. When I took over, our officers were only getting $9 an hour. We raised that up to $18 an hour. Yes, we only had a part-time chief. Now we have a full-time chief. Again, we were able to put money away for a new police cruiser. We put money away last year for a new police cruiser. And again, we'll be putting money away this year. One thing I do, again, that's one thing that, again, my main focus was maintaining this police department, and I will continue to maintain it. We've been on budget all 4 years so far. And again, we've had a surplus all 4 years. So I will continue to do what I'm doing. And again, it's just being in business for myself. I pretty much know how to manage a business. So therefore I know how to manage money, and I spend the money as if it's going to be my own. So when I look at any project or anything or any of the budgets, I look at it as if it's my own budget. So, and that's as far as maintaining, we have a wonderful police department. So, and I intend to keep it that way.
Timberlake Police Department, very dear to my heart. I was on it for 10 years. And I have no plans on not maintaining the Timberlake Police Department. We do have a full-time chief right now. And they're doing an excellent job. Having attended several work sessions and listening to various comments in the work sessions, right now, our police department is asking for an additional $2,500 supplement another 40-hour-a-week man. For some reason, these benefits would be a vacation and sick pay, basically to fill the time when the officer would be either sick or on vacation. It's been talked about for the last 8 months, well, 9 months now, with no action taken. We need to be very diligent in doing something about this for the simple reason we want to maintain our police department. And it is very tough to maintain a police department when the people across the street are offering over $6 an hour more than what we offer our officers to work. But I have no reason or don't want to get rid of our police department. It is very dear to our community. And like I say, I served on the department for 10 years. All the residents that are here know that, or seasoned residents, I should say. Like I say, there has been some also talk of possibly taking the chief back to part-time, save on benefits. This has also come out in work sessions. But I'm not for that. We need to maintain, we need to raise salary or the hourly rate to attract more officers. If it's a matter of spending $2,500 more a year to keep an individual, then why aren't we doing it? Pointed out we have a surplus. What's the surplus being used for? It's not possibly to maintain our police department and keep them happy. That's it.
Thank you. So we have one other question. Since you both have served as a mayor, can you please identify your biggest challenge and your greatest accomplishment during your terms? And then why do you want to do it again? Are you crazy? So we're going to give you guys a little bit. There's a lot in this question. So if you want a little bit more time, let's give them 4 minutes for this one instead of the 3. So John R., you want to start? You want a moment to think?
26 years, the accomplishments. First off, I don't want to think that I had accomplishments. When you're elected mayor, it's a privilege. It's an honor. And it's also your job to make things better in this village, if you can. And you need to have council, Board of Public Affairs, as an example. Board of Public Affairs. We don't have one anymore. They were very instrumental, along with the village administrator, in the one utility we do have, or recognize as utility, our sanitary sewers. And for years and years, we had a 3 or 4 year contract renewal with the city of Eastlake. And the last contract we had, we signed it for 20 years. And I was mayor then, along with, like I say, the Board of Public Affairs of the village administrator, along with several council members in the finance committee, negotiated that contract. That was a big accomplishment. And an accomplishment at the time, I thought, gosh, 20 years, I'll never see that again. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. If elected, we will see that contract. I will have to deal with that contract in another 2 years. I will have to reinstitute Board of Public Affairs or someone to start looking at that contract in great detail, because it is quite complicated in a sense. We pay so much of our operation of the plant, how much we get back to maintain our sanitary sewers, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess that would be an accomplishment. This village hall and the renovation of this village hall. There again, there's a nice plaque on the wall. Ended up putting in handicapped bathrooms, handicapped doors, new windows. We redid the whole hall. Then accomplishment, yes. But again, it's the job of the mayor to do that. No attaboys. That's what you're supposed to do when you're mayor. Sanitary sewer project. We aligned all the sanitary sewers. That was a process where they actually went in and shot a plastic coating inside the entire sanitary sewer system. And when they did that, they also went along, obviously, when they shoot this plastic in, they have to mark every tie-in, which is very helpful, because I don't know how many people ever had some plumber come out to look for your sanitary sewer. But a lot of times it's more or less looking for a low point in the yard or something like that. Well, now we have some very good records to do that. So I guess that would be a big accomplishment. But again, it's the job of the mayor and the council and the Board of Public Affairs in that case. Had a big sewer line replaced, and Jerry Fox is out there between his house and Mr. Lang's. Huge project. I guess it's a huge project. Let's see. Police department went from part-time to full-time. We went from went to Central Dispatch from East Lake across the street. So, I mean, like I say, if you want to count these as accomplishments, fine. But again, it's the job of the mayor to do that. Thank you.
Well, I first, like I said, when I started out, I inherited, we're deficit spending. We were in a financial crisis and pretty much our books were unauditable. So I had to come in and basically go ahead and cut money off the budget and try to come in under budget. Well, we did that. And, you know, the first year, one thing that we do need, I mean, we need snowplow badly in our village, because again, when we get it with snow, it's pretty bad. Well, for 2 years, I had to keep our old truck going. And I did, because when I first took office, we couldn't afford even the gas in the truck. And 3 years later, we were able to buy the truck cash, not cash, but I mean, we took money from that we had reserved and we didn't have to touch a general fund and we were able to buy a new truck. That's a great, I think, accomplishment, because again, we need our roads opened up. No matter what happens. I mean, our guys are great. They'll go out there at 2 a.m. and start plowing and salting, but the truck's got to be running. I can't tell you how many phone calls I got in the middle of the night that the truck was down again, truck's down again, truck's down again. So as far as, again, when I took over, you know, there was no professionalism in the village, I thought. I just wanted to bring more professionalism into the village, work with council more. Council was fighting a lot. I noticed when I first bought here 7 years ago, there'd be a lot of arguments back and forth. Now we have council that gets together and I work very, very well with them. That it takes more than just one leader to run a village. It takes more or less, it takes a group of individuals. And, you know, we built a great team now of people that work together, and, you know, where one lacks, one will pick right up again. As far as what I want to see next, our sewers are a major, major problem. Yes, the sanitary sewers were relined. That's a great benefit. But one thing that we need is storm sewers very, very badly. Shawandasi gets flooded almost every time it rains. This last big flood that we got before the tornado, every street in the village was pretty much underwater. I couldn't believe it. And, you know, people are saying, well, why don't we start do a piece at a time? honestly, we need it all. And if we start at the beginning, it's not going to solve the end. If we start at the end, it's not going to solve, we can't get through it from the beginning because it's bottleneck. So what I'm looking at doing is getting grants. Actually, I met with Senator Serino yesterday. He mentioned there was a Zoom call last week where he mentioned that there's going to be some funding available for storm projects. So I told him, I says, we have a major storm project that we need done in Timberlake. I told him, I says, the last estimate I got was we need $6 million. He goes, well, I don't know if I can get you that, but maybe 2. I said, I'll take it. But anyway, that's a start, but at least he promised he will help us out. And again, what I'm trying to do is trying to find money basically, or grants out there so we can get this funded. One of the other things is that why, it's so important to have a surplus is because, first of all, we never had a surplus. Basically we're living paycheck to paycheck. If anything happened where our income didn't, or where it stopped, pretty much we didn't have a reserve. So number one was I had to build up a reserve, which we did. Number two, whenever we do any major capital projects, we have to have matching funds. When we did our roads, I know that we had to have matching funds. We had to go out and borrow money. So what I'm trying to do now is save enough money in reserve so that when we go out, we can appropriate this money, and we have money so that whenever we have money to match, we can qualify for more grant money. If we don't have any matching funds, then we don't qualify. So this is how the point system works. So I'm learning all this as we go. I'm going many times to the NOACA meetings. That's Northeast Ohio Coordinating Agency for Roads and Bridges. And they're also going to be getting into this climate change and air and quality control. And I talked to them about also putting our tree canopy back. Again, that will help purify the air. It'll take CO2 out of the air. It'll help take particulate matter out. And these are things that I like to, because we lost a lot of trees at the last storm, but every storm we lose trees. And there's a lot of aged, dying trees that we need to also replace. And we do need to replenish our tree canopy. So that's one of the things that I want to work on and getting grant funds for that. So thank you.
Okay. That ends all the questions that we have for this evening. We've consolidated some of the questions that people had asked. So what I'd like to do at this point in time, because we do have a little bit of time left, is I'm going to make a couple closing comments. Then I'm going to ask the candidates if you could stay and people could talk to you personally, ask you any questions that they might have or any other discussions that they have. So a few reminders. Election Day is November 7th. The polls open at 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Timberlake residents, I think most of you know this, we are now at the Croatian Hall. I miss voting here. I don't think I have a say in that. And early voting for in-person at the Board of Election offices begin October 11th. I think we are past the time that you could do absentee ballots. Is that correct? I don't know if anybody knows. You can still request. Perfect. Thank you. Very helpful. Thank you. Very helpful. Okay. And then just one comment from the Village Club. Next Monday is our meet and greet. So we are going to be doing meet and greet twice a year. Just an opportunity for you to come meet new neighbors, talk to old neighbors, have some fun. We're going to have snacks and some beverages, nice fall theme, and there will be activities for the kids. I saw kids. There'll be activities for kids as well as for the adults. So thank you all. Can we have a round for our candidates who came this evening? There are cookies on the table. Please take cookies with you. I don't want to take any home. Thank you.